The one with the memorial service is, as is the case with pretty much the rest of this season, a brilliant episode of Friends. This is the 17th episode of season 9. It's directed by Gary Halvorson, and as always, there will be spoilers from now as I talk about various aspects of the episode. I'll go through each part of the narrative in turn. I'll talk about Ross first of all, which I have to say is my favourite part of the episode, and then I'll talk very briefly about Hugsy and Joey, and then I'll talk about Phoebe at the end. I feel like the part with Phoebe is maybe the most interesting, but it's where I have the fewest thoughts. And as I said, the one with Ross's part of the story is certainly, in my opinion, the funniest part of the episode. Ross has found an alumni website, and Chandler seizes an opportunity. He writes information about Ross on the website that says he has sex with dinosaurs. So Ross is going to get his own back. He's going to create a page for Chandler, and we get a tiny bit of mystery of wondering what Ross will write, what the revenge will look like. And, well, that revenge is, he said Chandler was gay, which is not the biggest deal. And Monica plays along with this whenever people call to congratulate him. And I kind of like how they handled it. People weren't shocked. They weren't saying mean things about him. And I think, obviously, well, for Ross, it didn't really go according to plan. But, nevertheless, Chandler's going to get his own back. And, of course, we're wondering, well, what on earth could Chandler say about Ross? And the reveal is brilliant. Ross just comes into the room and says, "I'm dead," which I think is probably not what anybody would have expected. I could be wrong. I don't remember how I felt the first time I watched this or if I predicted anything specific, but I don't think anybody would come to that conclusion that that's what Chandler would write. And then, if you want to guess how he died, I don't think anybody would guess Ross died being hit by a blimp. And we have an amazing array of emotions. Ross displays this great array of emotions in a really short space of time because he realizes nobody's commented, nobody's said anything, Chandler's revenge didn't work, nobody cares that I'm dead. And of course, when Ross realizes what he's just said, it's an absolutely fantastic moment. And of course, Chandler realizes that Ross is actually upset by this. This was not Chandler's intention. So he tries to comfort him and he said, nobody's going to comment on these things. If you had a memorial service, of course people would turn up. And Ross gets an idea. He's going to hold his own memorial service. And people do turn up. We have Tom, played by Ernie Grunwald, and it turns out he's actually just there looking for Chandler, now that Chandler's come out as gay, or Ross made him do that. And nobody turns up other than Tom, and Ross is getting frustrated. It's just Monica, Chandler, and Ross in Monica's apartment, and Ross says, "I'm dead and no one cares," and Monica says, "I look like a man." And of course, to this, Chandler responds, "Please, one ridiculous problem at a time," which is just an exchange that I love. The pacing of that, the quick fire, one line after the other. It was just absolutely brilliant. The comment from Monica was because, it was believed that Chandler was married to Monica, and if Monica must be a man if Chandler's gay, which obviously is not quite the case, but that's where that comment comes from. And then Kori Weston turns up. She's played by Ivana Milicevic, and I apologise if I've mispronounced that. And she comments that actually she'd once thought about asking Ross out, and she never got the chance. There's a nice message there. Jump while you've got the opportunity. Don't miss out, because you never know when somebody might die being hit by a blimp. And Ross, hearing this, realising he might have a chance with Kori Weston, runs out of the room and reveals that he's not dead after all. And of course, she leaves, because who does that? And it was really funny. I just think it's a really strong part of the episode. I really thoroughly enjoyed how it all played out. There's a good message there as well. Don't really write lies about your friends on the alumni message board, because it's probably not going to play out well for anybody. Then we come to Hugsy. And I cannot express how difficult it was to resist the temptation of buying a Hugsy when I went to the Friends experience. This would have been a long time ago. I think just after the pandemic. I remember we had to wear masks, I think maybe 2021. But I still remember that urge to buy the Hugsy and the difficulty of resisting temptation, because Hugsy is adorable. Hugsy is also in Everybody Loves Raymond. If you're an ELR fan, look out for Hugsy because he makes an appearance there. He probably appears elsewhere as well. This is, of course, Joey's penguin. And Hugsy ends up in the crib with Emma, and Emma really likes Hugsy, but Joey doesn't want to give her Hugsy because he loves Hugsy. So he buys her a brand new Hugsy, and it's not the same. Joey tries to convince her it's the same, but he knows it's not. And he swaps them, won't give them back, and Rachel points out to him that the reason Emma loves Hugsy is because it smells like her Uncle Joey and reminds her of her Uncle Joey, and that's absolutely beautiful. And I just think Hugsy is a fabulous character. I think Hugsy is one of my favourite supporting characters, and maybe one day I will buy a Hugsy. It is very, very tempting. It's a really fun part of the episode, and very sweet as well. And then we come to Phoebe, and as I said, this is maybe the most important in terms of moving forward with part of the narrative, or maybe giving us more questions. And this is, of course, in the aftermath of her breakup with Mike. To recap, they broke up because Mike never wants to get married, and Phoebe does want to get married. Again, I don't agree with Phoebe's actions there, but the argument can also be, well, if not getting married is not a big deal for Phoebe, my opinion is it's just a bit of paper. Your life won't look any different for the most part. Yes, we can make the same argument for Mike. Well, it's just a bit of paper. Why won't you want to get married to Phoebe? So I understand that. But that's where we are. They've broken up. And Phoebe tells Monica, you have to stop me because I'm going to want to call Mike. I'm going to want to see him. You need to stop me. And Monica initially fails when Phoebe tests her, but then she takes her phone. And Phoebe manages to find a way to call Mike. So Mike turns up, and Monica says they can all hang out as friends, and Monica sits in the middle and interjects in their conversation, or lack of conversation, I guess. And it's fun. It is so awkward and cringy, as it's meant to be, and it's really fun, and Monica's really trying. And then Manny turns up. Manny is Mike's friend, played by Jonathan Slavin, and he was also tasked with keeping Mike away from Phoebe. And it turns out neither Monica nor Manny were able to do a particularly good job at that. And it's very clear that Mike and Phoebe still have feelings for each other. And maybe at this point they're both thinking, is marriage that big of a deal? From both perspectives, is it worth losing the one I love just because I want to sign a bit of paper? And similarly, maybe Mike is thinking, is it really that big of a deal for me to sign a legal document if it would otherwise mean losing the one I love? So it's definitely very interesting and also very funny, very, very funny. Monica was particularly fabulous. She made it cringy and awkward, and I love it, and it was brilliant. So great to see Mike still, and I'll say no more than that for now. Really solid episode. The whole alumni thing was a lot of fun. Hugsy is adorable. If I ever go to another Friends event, I don't think I will order it online. I don't think that will be a problem. I think I can resist that temptation. But if I'm ever at another Friends event and they have a Hugsy, I might not be able to resist temptation. Adorable penguin, fabulous episode. The one with the memorial service is a lot of fun.